All right, well, Dirk, we got a few minutes. We got 4 or 5 minutes here for our off script. I had a couple of off scripts that I was kind of rummaging around in my head, but I came up on this one. I think it's one that we maybe talked about a little bit. I'm not sure how much we really have delved into it, too much on the show. So let me just broach it for you. I want to talk about civility.
What?
Civility.
Oh, civility.
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 Civility. Yes. Okay. We all read the news. And we see that there's definitely a civility shortage in the country, in the world, in the country, particularly right now.
I've stopped reading comments.
Well, it's not a bad idea. But no, civility is in short supply now, certainly in the political realm. But what I want to ask you about is the workplace, because I mean, we're lucky. We have a group that's very tight knit. We've been together for a long time, and we also have a lot of alignment on stuff. We all kind of understand quality and the mission to a greater or lesser extent. Every organization's not like that. So I mean, many organizations have disparate cultures. They maybe are in different countries, and you can have, in addition to some communication issues, you can have just basic takeaways that can lead to a lack of civility. So what are some of the things that you would think of that would maybe try to help overcome that and bring people together, maybe understanding the other guy's point of view on things within an organization that's a little larger than ours?
Well, I don't think it's actually much different than what we see in our day-to-day life. Is I think, particularly you mentioned people in other sites or in other countries that belong to your organization. Mm-hmm. And you have the same problem, is when they're faceless, you can say what you want, mm-hmm. right? So that's the problem with, very often with emails and texting and stuff, is we forget when we don't have direct communication, and I mean even like on the phone, where you can hear a voice or video or whatever, when you don't have that more immediate tactile connection with the other person, it's too easy to forget that you're talking to a person. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when you start seeing the really terse, nasty, a little over the top emails that maybe are a little more pointed mm-hmm. than they need to be, that you wouldn't have seen if those same two people were talking about the same topic face to face. Mm-hmm. They would have known to be civil because you can see the other person. And so I think it's for the same reasons. I think it's too easy to depersonalize the other coworker or employee when you're not with them.
There's a couple of elements to this, and to me, silos play a part. I mean, when you have people who are doing the same thing, people on a sales team or people on a quality team or a Kaizen team, whatever it may be, when you're on a team together doing the same thing, there certainly are times where you rub against each other because you have different ways of doing it. But what's more dangerous, I think that can be positive many times. It comes out of that a lot of good ideas. But what to me is more damaging is when the organization is siloed, where the sales team and the marketing team and the quality team and the R&D team don't really get on the same page, and then you begin to form these little fiefdoms of, well, those guys always are the ones messing up our...
Well, or they don't understand the job. So you were talking about marketing earlier. Yeah. I mean, kind of always the anybody who's worked in manufacturing or engineering knows this joke. It's like, the sales guy comes in and says, okay, well, I've just sold a X. Well, we don't make an X. Oh yeah, but I sold it. You've got it. Or I just told them we could put this feature into this product. Right. Yeah, I sold them. Yeah, they're going to buy it, but we don't have that feature. Yeah. Well, you guys, you just got to program it into design. I mean, so that's like a sales thing, and that generates when you don't understand how the other department works or what their needs are, then it's easy to build up animosity because the marketing guys don't understand or the sales guys don't understand what the engineers and the manufacturing guys do. It also works that way between engineering and manufacturing. The engineers will design this beautiful product and they develop it in the lab and it tests out and it works perfect, and then they give it to production and the production guys go, how in the hell do I build it?
Yes, yeah, right.
It's like, you're making this so difficult. It's like takes 20 steps to put this screw in. I mean, what were you thinking, right?
Yeah.
Well, the engineers very often weren't thinking about manufacturability. They were thinking functionality, right? And you got to think both ways. So then you start getting this schism between the manufacturing folks and the engineering folks and the sales folks, because they don't understand each other's jobs.
Well, many companies try to overcome that through cross-functional teams, which work really well. You cycle through the company many times, and you're not just a sales guy for your whole life, or a marketing gal for your whole life. You cycle through and you get different experiences in the organization, and as you move through and you begin to do those different tasks, now you have something where you're like, well, let me think about this. If I do design that in that way, is it going to be manufacturable? Is it going to be saleable? Is the price point going to have to be so high that it's going to blow us out of the water and we can't compete in the market in which we're competing? Those are really good things to consider when you're trying to understand how to deliver quality outcome.
Here's kind of my wrap up on this whole thing. And I've said this many times, I think we forget sometimes when we come to work or when we are in our job that we shouldn't treat our coworkers or our subordinates or our bosses any differently than we treat our friends, our spouses, or kids. I mean, we're all people, and we all react to things the same way. So you shouldn't leave those rules behind just because now you're in the workplace.
Yeah, but here's the problem. That we're bringing the rules from the private life into the workplace because there is more discord, there is more animosity, less civility.
What I mean
in society,
in your personal face-to-face interactions, because I really believe that. And in fact, we don't have time, but there was this interesting story I heard. But I really believe that if you got the most obnoxious commenter on Washington Post and sat that person down with the person they were commenting about, they would have a perfectly normal conversation. It's just because it's anonymous, and I can say and be as outrageous as I want to be without really thinking that I'm doing anything particularly wrong, because I'm not getting that feedback. So I think in our face-to-face, if we brought the same rules that we have in our face-to-face conversations, thought about that when we're commenting anonymously on articles or whatever, or when we go to work and have to deal with coworkers, if we just recognize you're always dealing with people. Right. And if you internalize that we're dealing with people, that I think that just actually helps bridge a lot of those problems. You never want to depersonalize somebody by, they belong to that group, or I can't see them, so I can just say what I want. And I think that's, if you overcome those two things, and I think you've gone 75% of the battle in terms of helping civility.
Yep. Good stuff, man.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.